Hey everybody, Ben Hayden here with WorkBoat magazine. I'm joined today by Jason Aristides, co-founder and CEO of OpenTug, which is the first digital booking and communication platform that connects barges, terminals, storage facilities, and vessels. Thanks for taking the time, Jason.
Thank you, Ben. Really appreciate the opportunity to be here and get to share with you what we're building.
Awesome. So let's just kick it off. Could you give us a little background about the founding of OpenTug, the reasons for starting the company, and what your industry background was that led you into solving these challenges?
I appreciate you asking because that's always been a very important part to this company for me. Was lucky to get to work at the leading tugboat company on the West Coast, Maritime, during college. And while working there, I met some impactful people who taught me about the efficiency of marine transportation. And growing up in Seattle, I was right by the port, but I never really knew what barges did and where they went. And we would be moving barges to and from Alaska, and I would see these barges carry massive amounts of freight, and I really started to fall in love with the industry. Chris Mack, who's now the president of FOSS, said to me one day, we move barges one direction, and many times they travel empty because a lot of folks are unaware of the opportunity. You should build a platform that helps connect shippers to this barge capacity. And that really stuck with me. But it wasn't a trivial task. There was a lot that goes into each barge move. So I just started to absorb as much information as I could. In college, one of the things that really hit me was when I watched Admiral Busby's testimony to Congress. He was the head of MARAD, and they asked him, what are some of the biggest challenges facing maritime transportation in the US? And he said a large part of it was a lack of awareness of the options and availability of the mode. And I started to think that software could help solve this problem. So I kept building, and I got to work at Curtin Maritime, one of the fastest growing West Coast tugboat companies. There I continued to learn more and meet with great and intelligent folks who are experts in the space. And I saw the opportunity. I happen to have great colleagues and friends, Mike Baldwin and Luciano, who were my good friends in college. And we joined forces to develop a technology to help solve the awareness issue in marine transportation.
That's awesome. Yeah, so you're streamlining communications to make use of something that's already there. It's such a great business model to have. I know that you're West Coast based, and I read an article that some of your early adopters of the platform were East Coast companies. Could you talk a little bit about what the beginnings of the company looked like in terms of your customers? Who were you targeting, and how did you go about kind of getting the word out there?
Definitely. The beginning of the company was very tough. It required a lot of learning, but luckily I was surrounded by some of the best people in the space. I spent a long time reading articles about the marine highways, talking to coworkers, cold calling both sides of the market, both the shipper side and the marine operator side, to start to learn as much as possible. Because quite frankly, there's a lot that goes into a lot of these marine transportation moves, and it's not easily understood. Our earliest adopters were in Alaska, which where you're headed to next week, and the East Coast. Both of them, these customers, were looking to help grow their freight operations, and part of that was making it easy for customers to book with them. So we spent a lot of time collaborating to reduce the complexities of marine transportation into a simple interface. And both of those implementations were highly successful, and we helped them grow and make their customers very happy. We took what we learned from those cases and brought it into the first nationwide network and booking platform for marine operators. And now today we have barge carriers and terminal operators that provide service on every waterway in the US, and we're continuing to grow this capacity on a daily basis.
I know that following the International Workboat Show last year, our editorial director, Jeremiah Karpowicz, spoke with you. How has the company grown since then over that past year, and where are you at these days in terms of adoption?
The company has grown geometrically since we last spoke, and one of the biggest drivers for this was the addition of Open Terminal. I started to learn that if people could get their cargo onto the waterways, they had huge gains in efficiency on both cost effectiveness and environmental reductions. But one of the largest challenges is actually getting the cargo to and from the waterways. There's a lot that goes into it. You know, you need trucks to bring cargo to a terminal. You need to find the right terminal. And there simply just wasn't much information available. But many of these terminal operators, they want people to know about their capabilities and their sites. So by adding Open Terminal, we were now able to solve more of the problem, not just connecting with the barge operators, but also getting your cargo to and from the waterways. So that really helped grow. And we've onboarded hundreds of terminals since launching that. We've had around 3 million tons of cargo requested through the product in the last 2 quarters, coming from 5,000 tons Q4 of 2022. So
wow,
it was been pretty explosive growth over the last several quarters, and we're now helping hundreds of companies leverage waterways. We've even rolled out Port Connect, and we're now working with Port at Jacksonville and Port Pitt in Pittsburgh to help shippers connect with their facilities within the authority. And every day we continue to learn and collaborate alongside of our users, find out what's working, what's not, how can we be more helpful, and then we just directly build that software in front of their eyes.
You touched on it a little bit, but could you expand on, on all sides of the aisle, whether it's logistics managers, terminal operators, vessel operators, shippers, what are some of the specific benefits associated with digitizing barge and terminal bookings that the OpenTug platform can bring?
So we really solved 2 problems. One, we're improving the lives of the existing users of the waterways. So by digitizing the booking, the logistics process, we now help these parties save time and ship with less mistakes, because orders are entered once and that data is shared with all the relevant parties involved. And if it's changed somewhere, we now have a central source of truth to reduce those mistakes and prevent them from going back and forth in communication, or ultimately takes a lot of time. And in addition to that, we're expanding the size of the market by making it easier for more people to quickly come and understand how they can leverage the waterways, and give barge companies and terminal companies a larger market to play in, with more people being able to ship in bulk and break bulk.
Nice. I actually just saw recently that you posted to LinkedIn that you added some pretty cool new features, like accurate quoting and ETAs, and that's such a bonus for these companies to have. I urge anyone to check out your LinkedIn page and follow those videos. It was pretty informative. I think I'm curious, could you provide us with a case study, for instance, maybe an OpenTug user that may have been initially hesitant to use the platform, but they adopted it and they're now seeing the benefits that it brings?
Definitely. I mean, every day we normally have new case studies that I fall in love with, but specifically, we had an international forwarder coming in from Turkey, and they're almost always using heavy haul trucking because that's what they're traditionally found in. They needed to move large bridge parts, and it was going to cost almost $500,000 to move it over the road. But they didn't know of another alternative option because they simply weren't familiar with the vast network of America's waterways. And then they found OpenTug. They were able to make a request on the platform, and in under an hour, they had 3 quotes that helped them beat their trucking rate by almost 50%. And that enabled these operators to now have new cargo that they didn't have before, and help this forwarder move cargo at a much lower rate than they would have, while reducing truck congestion and emissions. That's all just gravy that helps make it all the more sweet.
Yeah. That's a case study and a half. That's the perfect example, huh? That's pretty amazing. I guess my last question would be, is there anything else about the OpenTug platform that you'd like to speak to, or just the business on the whole?
Definitely. Well, hopefully some of them are listening, but I've been extremely grateful for all the outstanding people I've gotten to work with over my time at building OpenTug, and I continue to work with them on a daily basis. The longer I'm in the industry, the more I realize we're all in this together. We're all here to help make the world have an easier way to move goods efficiently. And I think OpenTug helps align the interests of all parties in the waterways to just helping the world move these goods and to help ensure that nobody misses out on the opportunities of using the waterways. The other thing is that OpenTug offers white labeled solutions to give our users custom branded apps that help improve their own operations, everything from sales, customer service to logistics. And then our market platform is designed to help make new connections. But we're always interested in getting feedback from the industry and learning about more ways we can help